where we give you the courtesy of conversation
that's uncommonly spoke of.
I'm D-Mac.
I'm Wesley.
And this is the show. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to catch us every Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific time on the Friday Fix. And our other shows, Plays and Parlays, Civil Discourse, and UFC with LT. And I saw y'all do that 4-hour watching the UFC, man.
Oh,
that was
man,
dope.
It was crazy. It was fun to do, though. I mean, I'm not really a huge UFC fan, but it was definitely fun to do. I mean, I think it's starting to make me into a more of a fan, understanding the fight game a little bit more. But LT, that's his thing. It's definitely a very fun live broadcast, man. Y'all got to check us out on our Plays and Parlays, and also UFC with LT, man. It's huge new shows.
Yeah, the main matchup was what, 30 seconds?
Man, all of them are screaming. These dudes was ready to tap out half the time. There was a few good ones. They went a little distance, but they was ready to go. You cats like, man,
UFC ain't like boxing, bro. Like the fights can end quick.
I mean, another thing, something else is ending pretty quick is this whole MAGA movement. Trump faces a revolt from his MAGA base over the Epstein files. On the weekend, President Trump decided to pick his biggest political fight to date with the MAGA base he created in his own image. Thousands of his adherents who gathered together. And all they wanted to talk about here at the Student Action Summit hosted by the conservative activist group Turning Point USA was the Epstein files. I think that these people, and I don't know, for whatever reason, there could be reasons, but I don't think they're telling us the truth about Epstein. Podcaster Brandon Tatum told the assembled crowd at the Tampa Convention Center. I think that the guy was involved in something nefarious that implicates a whole lot of people. And my guess is that a whole lot of people may happen to be some of our allies and some people that we don't want to have bad relationships with. Trump pulled the rug out from his base Saturday evening when he released a lengthy social media post that completely dismissed the importance of the issue, which has consumed the right for the past week and longer. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Trump posted on Truth Social, blaming the files on Democrats. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration? Trump supporters have gone along with him through every scandal and policy shift. Even when he made decisions, his base backed him. But the Epstein issue is challenging his alliance like never before. This week, the Justice Department said it would not release any additional files related to the case of the late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein died in 2019 while in custody, and a medical examiner ruled his death suicide. He was facing sex trafficking and conspiracy charges. Attorney General Pam Bondi released a 2-page memo saying that the department's review turned up no client list of powerful men who allegedly participated in Epstein schemes, and there was no credible evidence that found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals.
So there's a couple things that have happened so far since they said that there is no client list. I mean, first of all, she said there was a client list. There is a client list. We all know there is. Dershowitz or whatever, he's an attorney. He's seen the list. He knows the people that are on there. He's like, there's a list. So we have that. That's one thing. Number two, he tried to distract everyone. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to start up my beef back with Rosie O'Donnell from 20 years ago, thinking that was going to change. Nobody wanted to hear it. He tried to say Pam Bodie's investigating Connie, the old FBI,
James Comey,
the old FBI director.
And Brennan.
And then really quick, I want everybody to know this. I'm going to put this picture up here. And it's a post from Truth Social, the Donald Trump one. I'm going to show you the post, and then I'm going to show you something else that everyone else pointed out. It's the first time Donald Trump has been ratioed on Truth Social. Now, people don't understand ratio is when you have more comments than you have likes on your post. And there's about 40,000 posts under the one he just made here. And it's from MAGA supporters. And they are livid. I
mean, they gotta be. Like, I mean, you gotta imagine, man. His entire a lot of his base are conspiracy theorists.
Yes,
who believe and breathe conspiracies about the government and what the government's doing to them. A lot of them, are people who are from backgrounds that may not always bring wealth to the table. That goes for a lot of us, though. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are angry about things, and they believe that there's something to blame or someone to blame for what's happening to them. So a lot of them are involved in QAnon, all these other different conspiracy theorists, different kind of groups and stuff, and they believe in the things he told them. So when he needed to win this presidency, he threw out all the stops. He was like, they're like, are you going to talk about JFK? Yeah. You're going to talk about MLK? Yeah. Epstein?
You can release all the files. He was like,
well, they might hurt some people, so you may not want to release them all, but yeah, I will. And he said he would. He came out and he said this. And then once he got into office, he had him parade around in front of the White House with different files in front of him, like, hey, we're about to release the files. So he made this bed that he's laying in right now. Now he's angry, like, why do you guys want to talk about Epstein so much? Because he died on your watch. He died under your care. That was a federal.
He was arrested under Donald Trump. He died under Donald Trump, and there's a minute missing from the 10-hour film. And I watched the video of this gentleman. I can post that too if you want to see it, where he goes into the source code of the video, and it shows where they had changed the video. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, they show I was like, dang, I'd never seen nobody do that before. But he went to the source code. They have the initials of the person that did it. They have the times of when they did it. It happened this year, 2025. They changed the video this year. You can't blame it on nobody else. Like he's trying to do. He's trying to in his post. He's like, oh man, that was written by Obama and Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. And they're like, bro, he was arrested when you were president. So there wasn't a list. Nothing was around until you said it.
Imagine what Bondi said, though. She said that every video has 1 minute missing from them because it's a rewind period. She said every video they say that they've ever had. So they're supposed to go back and do some type of review. But why would you come out and say this without having already done the review to make sure of it, especially if this was something that you were investigating? You wouldn't have. Another thing that Steve brought up today on Civil Discourse, he said that there was a guy who had stayed in the exact cell that Epstein died in. He was obviously someone who was awaiting trial and put inside of a suicide watch. He stayed in the exact cell. And this dude came out and was like, listen, there's no way he could have killed himself in that cell because he's on suicide watch. So they're not giving you anything. You're probably giving you, damn near paper, forks or whatever else they're going to give. They're not giving you nothing for you can kill yourself. You're probably eating with your damn hand damn near.
On suicide
at
watch.
all. Yeah. So you don't have anything to be able to kill yourself with. So obviously this minute, they're like, well, I don't think anyone could have killed him in a minute. Well, they could have come in there and said, here you go. You better make sure you take your own life or it's going to be X, Y, or Z happens to you.
Well, how did they say he killed himself?
They say, well, I would have alleged by strangulation. That would be the only way he had to have hung himself or something like that. There's no other way. How else are you going to do it?
How are you going? Hey, you're in a suicide. I didn't realize it was suicide watch warden.
Yeah, man. He was on a suicide.
Where you can hang yourself. You know what I'm saying? Think about what's his name? Who's the guy who used to play for the Patriots or whatever? Alex.
Aaron, I know what you're talking about.
Aaron Hernandez, whatever, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was in a regular cell. He hung himself, right? But he put soap on the ground to make it so he couldn't make his feet stand up. To, make it so he could finish himself. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't do that in the wards where you're supposed to be on suicide watch. There's a reason you're in there on suicide watch. The minute's missing. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you can see it was altered. The video was altered. Like they have 5
MAGA. Yeah. MAGA right now. You look at Dan Bongino. This was the FBI assistant director of the FBI. He's come out like, hey, if Pam Bondi's not out of here, then I'm leaving. And now you got Kash Patel, who's the head of the FBI. He's talking about, you know what? If Bongino leaves, I'm leaving too. We don't get rid of Pam because she's gatekeeping something that they've been going around. Because Dan Bongino had his own podcast. They said he was making.
Kash Patel. That was their whole. My bad to cut you off. That was their whole thing. They built off years of that. They were on the Epstein files, and I know Tucker Carlson was saying there was somebody on his show. He was like, that's why they brought them in. So when it shows nothing, it'll go away. Because if you hear it from these two guys, like, yeah, we looked into it, there's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? But that was their big platform, these Epstein files. And a lot of people, that's one thing I can say about American. You can be racist, xenophobic, whatever. We ain't into kitty fucking. You know what I'm saying? I hate to say it like that, but a lot of people, we ain't into that stuff. That's why the Democrats lost the election, because they were letting the gays into the elementary schools to preach to them about it. I've said it before, and that's exactly what happened. But a lot of people ain't with it. And when you get a united force of Americans like that on both sides of the aisle, you're not stopping that. That's not going away. And
they're going hard on them right now.
They're hard on
him. They're going. I mean, it's crazy, right? Now you got Tucker Carlson's coming out and also said that that Jeffrey Epstein was allegedly working for Mossad. which is the CIA of Israel, pretty much. I mean, they saying he was not an agent, but pretty much like a I forget that, I can't remember the term.
Like an operative.
Operative, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You know what I mean? So asset, however you want to call it. But I mean, so you gotta imagine Epstein went from in late 70s or wherever, and during the 70s being like a high school teacher. He was like some type of science teacher, something like that, or college, some type of a professor of some sort. To then they say he went to go work for Bear Stearns, and this is where he made all his money at. But you got to remember also that he owned like the biggest property, like in the Hamptons in New York or somewhere, like something like he owned the largest property there. All of a sudden, out of the blue, he got all these other people who got all this other money, but he owned that. Then he owned Epstein Island. Then he owned two private jets. Then he owned another. I mean, come on, you know, like this is
the place he had in New York. It was given to him. The person that gave it to him actually lived
right behind him. Exactly, gave it to him. Why? Why is all this? I mean, you got him coming out on the stand saying that Donald Trump was my best friend on the stand when he had to take the stand in a case.
I watched another one where they were like, yo, was it true that, you know, I don't know if the prime minister or whatever of France sent you 3 13-year-old girls for your birthday to sexually abuse, and then they left the next day, and he's like, I plead the 5th.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to remember Prince Andrew, you know what I mean? Prince Andrew of the UK, they kicked him out of the royal court because they had ties to Epstein. They got pictures of him. Trump tried to say, I don't even know Prince Andrew. He came out and said he doesn't know Prince Andrew. They got pictures of you with Prince Andrew, man, from years ago, like multiple pictures, different pictures, not from the same day. And you don't know him. This is getting stranger by the day. We all know something is going on, and we're going to stop acting like he's not in these files. There's something about him.
He's in there. Like, that's why we can't sit there and look at you know, him, that people are trying to say like, oh, you know, Pam Bodie, no, at his request, she suppressed this stuff. Because if he wanted it out, he would let it out.
He would let it out.
He would let it out.
That's why I try to tell them. They're like, oh, this wasn't his doing. This person said this. They work at his at his behest. They're only there because he's put them in this position. This is why they can't speak on it. This is why she's not going to even give it to Cash or Dan Bunch, because they know that you got Elon Musk and you have Candace Owens coming out like, come on. Candace Owens basically said, come on, man, you sound ridiculous by saying Obama and Biden and all these people made this file up. You know what I mean? Then you got Elon like, hey, all this, man, just release the files. Just release them. If it's a nothing burger, release it.
They could have made the files and just did whatever they wanted with them at this point. I mean, like they could have made a fake list, but he knows he's on the list and people have seen the list. And they can't tamper with it. And I mean, like he's thinking about he's used everything in his repertoire, right? First he told them forget about it, they ain't listening. Then he was like, we're gonna do the stuff with the FBI directors and get them for the old stuff. Everyone's like, nah, Epstein files. He's like, yeah, we're gonna look into the 2020 election. Nah, Epstein files. He's like, Rosie O'Donnell, Epstein files. He's like, Obama,
anybody who I could throw you off with, man.
Something.
Remember Pam Bondi? Nope. Yeah, she came out. She said.
Epstein files.
She came out and she said, she's like, I have it on my desk, this, that, and the third. Then she comes out and says, oh, it's taken me a long time because we having to redact the victims' names. Then I had someone say to me today, oh, well, maybe because they know that Alan Dershowitz, who was an attorney, was one of Epstein's attorneys. He accused him, but it ended up being a false accusation that he accused him of. It's like, maybe that's why they don't want to release it, because there's a lot of people who may get their names dirty. You know what they become once they become a falsely accused person? They become a victim. So then you can redact their names as well from anything that's going on with that. You can redact their names and even pieces of it to let people know this person cannot be, you can't look at them. But they don't want to release anyone's name because they understand once they do, that them people are going to start talking to. Oh, you want to tell on me? Oh, well, this is what this is. You're opening a can of worms that you can't close, and there's something in it about you that you don't want to let out. That's all it is.
Someone else also said this too. He can't threaten to sue him because if he sues him, then discovery comes out. Then they all get to see the file.
This is why he's not threatening to sue anyone who's talking and saying he's a part of it. He sues everyone for everything.
Yeah, if Elon Musk, think about it, and I'll say this, ladies, and I'll leave it at this point. If somebody comes out and says, hey, DMAC Uno is in the Epstein files, and I so happen to have said Epstein files, if I had the evidence to prove my innocence, I would let it go. I'd be like, here you go. Nah, my name ain't on that. But you have the evidence to prove that you're not in them, but you're not releasing them because you can't, because the evidence shows that you're in them.
Absolutely.
Miami postpones its 2025 election. Miami's commissioner late last month voted to postpone the city's November election until 2026, despite warnings from Florida Governor John DeSantos and State Attorney General James Uthmeyer that they not delayed the election without getting voter approval. The controversial vote prompted swift backlash in the city, and one mayoral candidate had already filed a lawsuit challenging the decision to move Miami from odd year elections to match up with the federal and state contests held in every year. The move, less than 5 months before the original scheduled 2025 election, could also set up a potential legal battle with the state, as DeSantos and Uthmeyer have been strongly against the measure, which effectively gives Miami's election official, including long-term limited Mayor Francis Suarez, an additional year in office. Several candidates have already launched campaigns to replace Suarez, a short-lived 2024 Republican presidential candidate who had been mayor since 2017. And the other commission's seats when the 3-2 vote on moving the election took place June 22nd. The mayor and the commission seat in Miami are nonpartisan. City commissions who backed the measure argued that the move would dramatically increase turnout, given that voters historically turn out more for congressional midterms or presidential elections. But critics say it should have been up to the voters to decide whether they wanted to shift elections, not officials who stand to benefit from getting an extra year in office that Miami residents didn't vote for. Ahead of the vote, DeSantos spoke up on the matter, signaling that the state could get involved if Miami commissioners went ahead with approving the measure. What's wrong with the incumbent politicals to cancel elections and unilaterally extend their terms in office? No, he said it is wrong for them to do it. DeSantos wrote on X in the morning of the vote, it also runs afoul of term limits. I'd anticipate a swift legal response to these schemes when it's enacted.
Yeah, they need to. This is pretty much giving a blueprint for what the Republicans can do in the next election if they chose to. When you hear Miami, you're going to think of these people as Democrats. I'm going to think of, because I think that Miami is a blue city, more or less, depending upon what area you're in. Of course, there's different areas. Of course, you got more Latino areas where they have shifted into being more Republican based, but you're giving a blueprint.
Not no more, sir. Sorry, I cut you up. Not no more.
I mean, we'll see. But from the last election, that's all we can go off of right now. So we can go off of what they've done historically. And historically, they've shifted a little bit. I understand what you're saying. There probably is an opportunity for them to come back the other way, but we'll see. But I'm like, at this point in time, this is crazy to allow people just to say, you know what, man, I'm going to give myself one more year in office.
I'm just cancel the election. We're going to do it for another year.
What do you think? All right, man, let's go ahead and do that.
Let's do it.
Without the vote of the people, these people, I mean, there must be something that they need to vote on that's gonna make them a lot of money, because this is gonna draw ire from the voting populace. They're gonna say, you know what, we didn't vote for you to be in here as long. You're done. They don't care about being done in their next election. They don't care about that.
It's about continuing to hold on to power.
Absolutely.
They're hoping that something will go on with, like, if we wait one more year, he'll declare martial law, and then no one has to leave.
Absolutely, because this is crazy. I mean, say they are Republican, maybe they know that this is going to be a bad cycle because of what's going on. They're like, we're about to get swept out of here. We all said, man, vote him into office. We all was like, yeah, I will vote for Donald Trump. They might have all said that. You know what I'm saying? They might have all been part of that whole movement, and now look where they're at.
Like, so, this Epstein Island landed here. Now we got to take care of this. Oh, you know no.
I mean? So this, imagine if this happened across the country where people started unilaterally giving themselves an extra year in office, man. Like, what is
the whole election? Just canceling it. Like, I'm just gonna stay here. And it's gonna watch when they do it. It's gonna happen. This is a test run. I remember we talked about this a while back. It's like a test run to see if they can get away with it. But I mean, even the governor came out, and I don't like John DeSantos at all. But he even came out and was like, nah, y'all can't do that. He's like, you're gonna have to steal the elections like I did by gerrymandering.
He's like, you got to steal these fair and square. You can't just hold off on the election. You got to go ahead and have those.
You heard our kitty fucker in chief Donald Trump tell him. He was like, if it wasn't for you, you would have lost the election.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that we really got to pay attention to this, because they already did it. It's already a done deal. There's nothing nobody can do about it. They have these laws should not even be on the books where people can do this. This is telling you right now, we have to start cleaning up some of these things that we're allowing in our country. We got a guy on the top at the top right now who's making laws that make him a king, even though now he won't even release files that if there's nothing in it, release it. There's nothing to say about nothing, get rid of them. You know what I mean? But now you got these guys down here saying, you know what? We don't need y'all to tell us when we can, if we gonna win again. We won already. I'm taking my extra year. I won. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. I won. That's what's going to happen now. And now they don't have to care what you say because they know you're not going to vote for them next time anyways. So I might as well just do what I want. Let's figure out what that I do what I want really is.
Yeah, for real.
White House border czar suggests ICE can detain people based on physical appearance. Nearly 6 months into his tenure as White House border czar, Tom Homan has made a great many controversial public comments about everything from due process to prosecuting news organizations to his curious focus on Democratic Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. But we're often reminded that his rhetorical record is still growing. In his latest Fox News appearance, Homan said, look, people need to understand ICE officers and Border Patrol don't need probable cause to walk up to somebody, briefly detain them, and question them. They just need totality of the circumstances right. They just go through the observation, get your typical facts based on the location, the occupation, their physical appearance, their actions. NBC News reported earlier this year about concerns related to racial profiling as part of the Trump administration's immigration raids, and hearing the White House border czar talk about ICE agents being able to detain people based on their physical appearance will likely make those concerns worse. What's more, Homan's on-air comments sparked quick pushback from Capitol Hill Rep. Daniel Goodman that border czar's assessment was patently false. The New York Democrat added DHS has the authority to question and search people coming into the country at points of entry, but ICE may not detain and question anyone without reasonable suspicion and certainly not based on their physical appearance alone. This lawlessness must stop. Complicated matters was this was not Homan's only notable quote from the last 24 hours. He also spoke with Politico and talked up the idea of reaching new agreements on third-party deportations. When you've got countries that won't take their nationals back and they can't stay here, we find another country willing to accept them, Homan said. As part of the same interview, Politico noted the recent Supreme Court ruling that cleared the way for 8 men to be deported to South Sudan. The border czar said he was unsure of the status of the 8 men or whether they are detained there, saying they are no longer in the U.S. custody. They're living in Sudan and will stay in Sudan. I don't know, he said. When we sign these agreements with all these countries, we make arrangements to make sure these countries are receiving these people and there's opportunities for these people. But I can't tell you if we remove somebody to Sudan, they can stay there a week and leave. I don't know. Yeah, man.
You know, it's crazy. It's like, and I say this all the time, like it was okay when it happened to black folks, right? You're okay with stop and frisk. You're okay with racial profiling because it didn't affect you. And I've said this many times, like hate doesn't stop. It just finds new things to hate, you know? And so what's happening now? They're saying it's okay. We're going to stop anybody that's basically, if you look brown, you might not be from here because that's how they play it. And so, I mean, how far do you think that's going to go? So I've said this before. I'll say it again. Let's say they deport all the Mexicans, all the Indians, all the black people, you know what I'm saying? All the Chinese, the Asians, Pacific Islanders. Somehow they get us all out the country, right? Do you think it's going to stop there? I mean, okay, so now it's going to be like, well, what about our political rivals? What about the Democrats? Let's get rid of them. What about women that are feminists? Let's get rid of them. Let's get rid of the gay people now. You know what I'm saying? Hate doesn't stop. It just finds something more to hate. Tom Holland, at least he's honest about it. You know what I'm saying? It's sad he had to backtrack. I like when a racist stands on his views. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we're going to get you because you're brown. And you know, it's crazy. The Hispanic community is feeling the burn of this, but they were out there singing. You know what I'm saying? But what was the song? What was the song? What was the song, Wes?
I will vote for Donald Trump. That's what they said. That's what they sound like when they said it. They said, I will vote there. They were gigging too. They were like, yo, the lady was like, she's like, you said you're only going to go after criminals. And they were like, you're brown. You are a criminal. You know what I'm saying? Like, once again, it was okay. It was okay for that's what one thing I liked about a Donald Trump presidency is because when it was Democrats, then they would just go and attack black folks. That's all they were coming for. Think about it. Joe Biden was like, you know what? No hate crime bill. We're just gonna get rid of Newport cigarettes. You know, no menthols for you. I disagree strongly.
Okay, whatever. Donald Trump, he hates across the board. He hates across the board. Think about it. You people voted for Donald Trump, and last time women lost their health care rights. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, let's do some more. And so
let's do some corrective speech here, because I know you like to have the whole Democrats hate black people thing, and I don't believe that at all. You got to look at our first president, first black president. First black president, what was he? First black vice president, what was she?
Not the person who foundational black Americans.
How many foundational black Americans got this far? Not many. So who cares? They got black blood in them. That's all that matters.
Okay, he had
black blood in them.
Shout out to Michelle Obama.
You know what I mean? They have black blood in them. That's all that matters. We know what this means. Come on now.
African.
Where are they going to put them? Where are they going to? She had Jamaican, but where are they going to lump them into if they ask them, "What are you?" They're going to lump them right in with us. Keep it real. Where these people walk with? Where did Obama go after he left Hawaii? Went straight to the hood in Chicago to be with these people. So we're going to stop all this blasphemy. But anyway, let's get back to we're talking about Tom Homan here. This guy right here, man. Yeah. This is just a sickening thing for a person to say, because you understand what this means, correct? Because when you're looking at a European, we're talking about all the Europeans walking around America who claim to be something that's not real, which is white, and white's not a real thing. You look at all them, they're not going to be picked up based on physical appearance because they all look alike. Not saying exactly, but that's normal to everyone else. They're looking at people who have any kind of melanin in their skin. That's going from brown people to black people. Black people are not exempt from this list.
No, not at all. Haitian. Not at all. You can look like an African. You can look like a Kenyan, Nigerian,
Jamaican. You could look like anybody who ain't from here. I just want to stop you, pull you over, based on your physical appearance alone. That's good enough.
They be like, sir, are you an American? I'm like, yeah. If you want to try to prove it and arrest me, I'm going to sue you and use the money to pay off my taxes. They're like, you're good to go. Good to go. Good to go.
You know, the cool part about it, they don't even care no more. Like, yeah, sue me. He just told you, man, I can detain you if I want to. They're going to knock you over the edge. They're like, what you say to me? They're going to hit you over the head with their baton.
Like, especially if you ain't showing me no badge. That's my whole thing. Like, yo, show me your identification that you're an agent. If you say no, we're having a shooting match right then and there. You ain't kidnapping me, homie. That's one thing I know. You're gonna show me a badge.
This is a show of me and D-Mac. Don't get it wrong, but I don't agree with D-Mac just said it. So don't put that on me. If you catch me and I ain't got you don't show me a badge, don't start shooting. I need to keep it real with you. You know what I mean?
One time I'm gonna tell you this. Check it out. One time I got pulled over. I was smoking a cigarette when they just passed the law where if you throw a cigarette out of a car, it's $1,000 fine. I was smoking a cigarette, sun setting, threw the cigarette out, right? Hits the ground, sparks up like a firework. Get pulled over by a state patrol officer. He walks up to the car, but he didn't have his hat on, right? Okay. And in Washington State, I don't know about anywhere else, but a state patrol they have to have their hats on to identify themselves as a state patrol officer. So I called him on. I was like, "Hey, where's your hat at?" And he knew that. So he had whatever he came to talk to me about, he couldn't talk to me about no more. He was like, "All right, I'm gonna let you off with a warning. Just don't do it again." And they're like, my friends were in the car, like, "What just happened?" I'm like, "He has to have his hat on to identify himself. Just that minor thing can make the case, make it or break it." So you understand? So if somebody hops out, if five white people, like I'm gonna say, hop out of a van with mask on and tactical gear and police or ICE badges that you can buy off Amazon, and you say
having badges on half the time,
I'm saying, and show me your identification to show me your ICE, and they say no, then they are not ICE agents. They are kidnapping people off the street. People are disappearing. They're finding bodies with handcuffs and shackles on, washed up on shores on beaches. You got me fucked up. You ain't pulling up on me and not showing me identification, because if you don't show me identification, because remember during the George Floyd protest, they were finding all those black people hung up in trees, and they said they showed no sign of struggle, and they were catching people playing as police, running up on people with zip ties, acting like they were police so they could take them and hang them in trees.
I'm not saying you don't have to show anything, but you know what? I'm not going to sit here and tell you we're gonna be doing this in the streets. No, we're not. I'm not saying that at all. What I am going to say is I have expectations of this is a free America, and I understand that.
I believe in my law enforcement officers. They do a good job where I'm at. Some of them out of line, and some of them have been prejudiced and racist. Yes, but the majority of them, they do a good job. They do a pretty good job out here, and I'll give them that. But you know what I'm saying? But they identify themselves. Every time someone has a phone on the cops, what do they say?
I don't agree with that statement either.
What are the cops saying? You ain't got to believe it. It's all right. What are the cops saying? Oh, my badge.
Very good job. I'm just saying. I hear what you're saying. I get you. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody jumps out of a van and tries to snatch me up, and they ain't got no identification. We having war in the streets. You're not kidnapping me. My booty is sacred.
Got you. Let's go on to the next segment there. I know you got one.
I got one. And the final one. Gringo go home. Mexico City protests targets American gentrification. A march against gentrification drew hundreds of people who protested, holding up signs that said "Gringo go home" and demanded that Mexican leaders curb short-term rentals and tax foreigners. It was held on July 4th, U.S. Independence Day, and was advertised as a protest against American imperialism. The march, which passed the U.S. Embassy, was mostly peaceful, but later some marchers turned to vandalism, smashing windows of more than a dozen storefronts, including a bank, a popular taco chain, and a Starbucks. Video showed protesters harassing tourists seated at an upscale taqueria until they got up and left. Some patriots sitting on a street side cafe targeted by demonstrators protested that they were Mexican, not foreigners, and in some cases flashing their identification cards. In part of the city, walls remain scrawled with graffiti. "My culture is not your trend," and "Kill a gringo." The protests, which echoed demonstrations against mass tourism, the protests, which echoed demonstrations against mass tourism and high housing costs in other places, including Barcelona and Berlin, and have challenged the long-held notion of Mexico City as a place to welcome outsiders. And they add fuel to rising bi-national tensions as President Donald Trump threatens tariffs on Mexico's imports and seeks to deport immigrants living without authorization in the United States. Trump's attack on Mexico has sparked a wave of nationalism, with some people pushing a boycott of American products and companies embracing the red, green, and white Mexican flag and ad campaigns. On social media, there were commentators both applaud and assailed by the protests. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security joined in the fray, publishing a post on X on Sunday encouraging unauthorized immigrants to self-deport via Customs Border Protection applications. If you're in the United States illegally and wish to join the next protest in Mexico City, use the CBP Home app to facilitate your departure. Mexican leaders condemned the vandalism and nativism tone adapted by many protesters. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't understand what's going on, a lot of Americans are living in Mexico because it's a lot cheaper, but they're coming down. They're trying to tell people in Mexico what to do on their beaches. They're making the cost of living rise. And they said that housing went up 47%, the rent in Mexico City. And they had enough of it. They're like, you're not going to come down here, expect us to do, basically it's like what America's doing, but Mexico's like, yeah, you're not going to bring your colonizing stuff over here. We're not having it. So they've been protesting ever since. And it's getting a lot more violent. This is an article from last week, I believe. But it's been there. I've been wanting to report on it. We just, the news cycle is the news cycle. But they're not having it.
Yeah, and it's been happening all over the world. He talked about in Spain, they've been doing this a lot too, attacking visitors, attacking tourists, because they're angry. They live in these cities that people like to go and see, but at the end of the day, it drives up prices because a lot of people are turning their rentals into Airbnbs. So now, I mean, with that happening, a person looks at it like, oh, I can make a few $1,000s a month versus making this little $800 a month, or whatever you're giving me. I can make this doing this. And now people who are traveling there are now starting to buy units and use them as Airbnbs as well. So, I mean, it's not really anything. It's like at the same time, do you want the tourism? Because that's what's bringing a lot of money to you at the same time. This is happening all over because what Americans are looking at, we're become expats. We're like, man, we're getting taxed the hell out of in our country. So we're going to take the money we make here. And if we have a job that's online or something that we can do virtually, like a virtual job, man, are you going to sit somewhere where you're going to have to pay $3,000, $4,000 or $5,000 a month for a mortgage or rent? Or are you going to go take that same exact money and live like a king elsewhere? It just makes perfect sense. And a lot of these places that we're going to are hot vacation spots, where people like to go. And so it's happening. This is going to become more and more of a problem until one of these governments kind of get a hold of it and figure it out. Like, hey, we want to be, either you want to be a tourist spot or you want to be a spot for your locals. And a lot of times your locals aren't making enough money. That's just what it is.
It's kind of like where I live at now, though. It's like, they keep building all these houses, but the jobs out here don't pay enough for people to actually rent them. So they're building them for people that are coming out of town. And people out here, they just proposed destroying our wetlands. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember going to school and they were like, the teacher went over there and got water. And like, we looked at it under microscopes and there's organisms. It was like, yeah, these are our wetlands. I was like, oh, dang, I drive past it all the time. Where they're going to cut it all down and build houses. And the people in Mexico, look, there's so many people coming back from America. They have a disdain now, but now they're just like, look, you're not going to throw off our economy. You're not going to come here and, enforce your rule. Because, I hate to say it, Americans are, what's the word? I don't want to say prideful, arrogant. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people that travel the place, you have that arrogance to you. I'm from America. It's the way to do it. You know what I'm saying? You're the number one country in the world, supposedly. That's what they tell us. But, even now it's like, they're doing that in Mexico. And then the US or the UK has actually put up a travel warning. You know what I'm saying? To people in the United Kingdom, Germany, they're like, do not go to America because you might be jailed for being from somewhere else.
It's crazy.
So, yeah, it's crazy. I was
that we're the number one tourist location. Like we bring in some of the most money for any country as far as tourism. I think that France might have a little leg up on us as far as like with Eiffel Tower, but We are like one of the biggest tourist locations, if not the biggest. We're like second in the world. People are coming into for tourism, and it's becoming an issue. This dude's ripping us apart at the seams. It's just a huge problem. Trump is to me, he's a horrible president. This is all part of that. Our economics in our country are so bad that people want to get away from our country, take their money and flee somewhere else because they can't afford it anymore. It's just, this is a portion of showing you that capitalism is failing. Not the full totality of it, but a large portion of capitalism is failing and needs help.
And Wes, I don't know if you remember what I was saying during the election. I said, look, either you vote for Kamala Harris or you can let Donald Trump get back in there and finish destroying America like he was doing the first time. And now that we're seeing it, it's sad to watch it go. But I'm glad I'm on the West Coast. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this is Uncommon Courtesy. Until next time.